and they have an issue about taking things, right? So they take it, you're usually going to consequent them for doing it. The restorative task for us is helping that child go back to that location and bring it up and help them resolve it to the person that they took the item from, and help gain the confidence that, yeah, people make mistakes. Let's just work on how do we move forward from here. So that's a nutshell of a restorative.
Okay.
With parents, I use what's called common sense parenting curriculum. And when we talk about consequences in there, I bring in the restorative information on that. So,
Youth respond well or better to the restorative approach, do you think?
yes, I think they are more keen into the fact that they're not always going to lose something, right? When you hear consequence, oh man, I'm going to lose this, I'm going to lose that.
Right.
For restorative tasks is about doing something at that moment, and then you're done. We're going to move on. You don't lose anything. You just gain. That's the important piece. You gain something.
Yeah. So. And then talk about the strength-based portion. Who's that?
So strength-based is also very important. From the minute the kids are coming for pre-placement visits, we have them answer a questionnaire so we can have an insight of how they view themselves, what they feel they're good at. A lot of times kids have a hard time, even adults, recognizing things that they do well. So when we can have a baseline, when the kids are really struggling and down on themselves, we can talk to them about what we've noticed, reminding them of things that they've already noticed. Sometimes the kids are very good at recognizing I'm good at art or music, but maybe not that they're good at building friendships. They're good at helping out, when people are in need, those less obvious things that you can see. So we start right from the beginning when they come to learn a little bit about them, have them tell us, we recognize it, and we want to build off of them, because a lot of people, it's always, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do better at, as opposed to building off of what they're already good at. And we like to say, not what do I do well and what do I do bad, it's what can I improve on. Sometimes it's just a twist on the words. A lot of things, the documentation, we talk about strength-based. People think, oh, well, I can only write down the things that the kids are doing well. If everybody was perfect, you wouldn't have services like this that we need. So we like to tell them it's about being factual. So even though you hear strengths, it's about being factual. So if somebody's struggling with something, you're not going to put them in a bubble like everybody's the same. You're going to describe whatever the issue is they're dealing with, and what are we going to do to support them to get them to look at it in a more positive light. And again, all these core concepts kind of like they overlap with each other. So.
Yep. I've hit 3 of them. What's the 4th one that I
Family driven?
Yes, that one seems like something you would want to talk about, Mike.
Family driven is all about the family regarding on how are they going to be involved in our treatment program, right? As much as the youth guide is about them, the family driven is about them as well. So we want to involve the family in any aspect of our treatment as possible. I like to, when I talk to the families, it's about you're driving, you're in the car seat, you're driving. You're going to tell me what road we're taking. It could be a smooth road, it could be a bumpy road, it can be a hilly road. It really doesn't matter to me. It's about the journey that they want to take. And the information that's being provided with them through Family Driven is about all the treatment in the 4 core concepts that we have is included in all that Family Driven stuff. It's about connecting with them. If they're struggling with home time, how can we help them during that time? They want to call their child during the week. How can we accommodate for them? If they're struggling, the fact that typically what happens is if the staff only hears the youth perspective of the parents, right, they're going to be negative toward their parents, right? Family driven is about getting the insight to the staff and everybody else what's going on at home, including their vision and their perspective of things. And then this way we as staff don't feel something toward the parents, right? Because sometimes we do, right? If we're only working with the youth, we will feel some toward something, right? So we want to move over that. We want to focus on the strength, right? So an instance, let's say a parent can't do transports, right? And staff's like, I'm always doing transport. Well, this is one of the reasons why they can't do transports, right? And stuff like that. So we're giving some form of reasoning why parents are doing what the parents are doing. So it's about the family as well.
Yeah, very good. If you're just joining us, my name is Christian Hoffman. I'm the Vice President for Public Relations and Development at Community Missions, and I'm joined today by Michael Powers and Mindy Schafer from our Aurora House program, a youth community residence in Lockport. So Talk, give us the Reader's Digest version again of what Aurora House is, Mike.
It's a community resident group home for 12 to 17-year-olds. A lot of times the families are, well, my child is turning 18. As long as they're 17 in our program, they can be 18 in our program. But they cannot be 19, so they would have to be discharged the day before they turn 19 in our program, but it's a 6th to 9th month program. So we try to vary off before they turn. One of the things that I do assist with the Aurora House with the family is if the child is getting to become 18, we can help them transition into adult services as well.
Right.
So we can do all that as well. We can help the families that too. So.
Yeah, that's one of the neat things about community missions, being all under one umbrella with the 23 different programs,
Yes.
is that there's the opportunity, and it seems like it does happen more often than I would have even guessed,
Yep.
the kind of play between the different programs.
Correct.
That's a great thing. So, Mindy, again, who makes sense? If somebody's out there listening and says, I wonder if, how would you kind of guide them as to whether their young person might be able to make sense at coming to Aurora House?
I believe any child who is struggling, whether it be in the home, something personally, getting to know their diagnosis, they just need that extra little maybe encouragement, a little extra support. Sometimes we're a good buffer when the family dynamics are, on that little rocky road, to give us a shot. We're a voluntary program, so I don't think we ever talked about that. We're voluntary. So there's a referral process. We want you to come see the place. Mike is a good advocate for coming, getting a tour, having the families come, the kids come. Our children that are residing there, the resident council, we have the president, if they're available, they can walk around with the kid to give the kid perspective to the youth, answer their questions, so they're not just always hearing from the adult of why they should come. And then if their referral comes through and it looks like it's going in that direction, then we have visits. So it's not like, I'm approved and they have to be afraid. They're going to get visits to come and see what a day looks like, see what an overnight looks like, so they can make sure it's a good fit for them. So we don't want them to be afraid, because some families will really push for them to get services because they need that help. But we are voluntary. Come see what it's all about. There is a tour online. You're going to learn skills, hopefully be able to bond with some other peers that have similar situations, so you have a group that you can talk to that is going through the same thing, because some kids don't have that social circle staying in home. They don't know how to connect, and so they can learn those social skills and build on that. And again, it's temporary. It's 6 to 9 months, and because we're voluntary, if you're doing fabulous, the families can work with Mike and say, hey, 4 months was good. Let's get you to the end of school so we can get you caught up. There's a lot of different more positives, and I think the scary thing is being removed from your home and what you're comfortable with, but we try to have multiple steps in place so it's we can relieve some of that stress and anxiety, so it's a little smoother and not a scary thing.
So you talked about specifically diagnosis, so it's a mental health diagnosis,
Yes.
correct? And what are some examples that people might have?
We see a lot of kids with the trauma, so we get a lot of depression, anxiety, bipolar, conduct disorder. What you're not going to see is an individual that might just have ADHD. Yes, it is a diagnosis, but there has to be more to need our services. And then on top of that, they might have other medical needs. So they could have allergies, they could have, what else did I want to say? Cholesterol issues, same things that adults go through.
Sure.
But the main thing is they have to have a mental health diagnosis to be considered and have had to try other services, because OMH, who regulates us, wants least restrictive. So they could either be coming up from home, stepping down from another facility, but they want to see that they've tried other things and maybe they just need a little bit more push, to come with us.
And we're located in Niagara County, but we serve
Yep.
more than Niagara County.
19 counties we can
Yes.
serve.
Oh my,
Yes.
wow. So how far out is that? I don't even know.
It could be 2.5 to almost 3 hours. We try not to, because there's other CRs down that way.
Sure.
So if we do receive a referral from that distance, it's basically because they're sending it out to everybody.
Right.
So we try to work with them to see if our distance is appropriate for them, because travel is part of the distance, so that is something that we would have to discuss with them. So the furthest that we have done officially is probably about an hour and a half,
Okay.
and go down to Jamestown. So theoretically, we've been down that way and serving and going from there.
And I remember hearing a story that you actually had a youth that was staying in their school And we were providing transportation back and forth from a pretty good distance, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's possible.
Yeah.
Probably not the best
No,
for
but
the
we-
staff, but
One time
for
helping
kid,
the families out, they were snowed in, so a few of us went down and shoveled them out
Yeah.
of their homes so they'd be able to get to places. So we do all that stuff and try to help the families that are in our service. So.
No, that's fantastic. One other note I mentioned, that I thought of as you had mentioned the resident council. Talk about the resident council a little bit. I think that's an empowering thing.
Okay, so back when Aurora House first opened, they did resident council and they just had 3 offices, so president, vice president, secretary. We think it's very important for all kids to get involved, and since we can have 8 kids, we have created 8 different titles, so everybody has a piece. We do really encourage it. Sometimes kids are a little standoffish until they get their feet wet, get to know each other. They're a little shy. So we do have 8 different positions, and if we have less than 8 kids, then we encourage the other kids to wear multiple hats. Within the last couple years, we actually spoke about them co-chairing because it becomes a voting thing if multiple people want it. So instead of it being a popularity thing, we try to talk to them about, do they want to co-chair? So once everybody has their little piece, twice a month we try to do resident council. Whoever is the president meets with me to come up with the agenda. Things starting with like an icebreaker, some kind of team building thing at the beginning. Talk about things that are going well. Then we have to talk about some hard stuff, some things that we need to work on. And then myself and Mike or management will sit in with them and to kind of facilitate to make sure things stay hunky-dory. And then we will bring up any concerns that we need to talk about. Is there maintenance concerns? Is there activities, ideas that they have? Is there any goals they have for the next 2 weeks? So the president is the one pretty much running the show. I'll take notes. The secretary will take notes so then we can compare because I'll type them up. If there's anything for the good of the group, because it's a closed meeting, the rest of the staff do not participate in that. We would bring anything to the staff if there was something that came out of the meeting that everybody needs to know. The vice president, if there's kids that are visiting, that's their opportunity to give an update how the visits are going. Is everybody getting along? Is there anything we need to do to support any of these individuals that are coming in? So it just gives them a choice, another place to use the youth guided to have their opinions heard, because sometimes coming from a peer, it resonates a little bit different than feeling like an adult is barking an order or telling them something to do. So that's the in a nutshell, the resident council.
There's so much value in that. I feel like, as I've got 2 little ones at home right now and just thinking through kind of our family dynamics and how to kind of play in some of those things and help them to. That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Our time has gone by quickly, as I was thinking, but it's great work that you all are doing, and I'm sure there's some great successes that you can kind of think back to and be encouraged by, right, at a difficult moment. So thanks again. And if you're interested in learning any more about community missions, there is the virtual tour that we have online, communitymissions.org/Aurora-House is how you can get directly to their page. The SPO application, I believe, is on there, a lot of information in general, or you can always contact them directly. What's the phone number out there?
716-433-1905.
All right, wonderful. So again, until next time, for Community Link, this is Christian Hoffman signing off.